Nearly 2 years ago, 23-year-old Kalidas, a farmer from one of the regions hardest hit by drought, committed suicide. Under the new insurance program, farmers paying premiums amounting to around 1.5% of a crop's value can receive full value if destroyed by drought or flood. The aim is to stop farmers like Kalidas from ending their lives. He borrowed $6,000 to install a pipe to irrigate the family farm, but drought had left no water to pipe in. It wasn't just crop failure that drove Kalidas to suicide. His father says it was the bank payments.
My son took a loan. When the debt became too big to pay, the bank officials started coming to our house. He was so stressed that he did not think and committed suicide.
Agriculture remains the primary sector of the Indian economy. While it accounts for merely 16% of the country's GDP, approximately 43.9% of the population depends on agriculture for their livelihood. In recent years, indebtedness, crop failures, and the non-remunerative prices and the poor returns have led to the agrarian distress in the many parts of the country. The government has come up with various mechanisms to address these issues. Insurance, direct benefit transfers, loan waivers are amongst them. However, these mechanisms are ad hoc, poorly implemented, and hobbled by the political dissensions. In February 2016, the government launched the crop insurance scheme, which we are going to analyze in this particular lecture, called as Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna, to reverse the risk-averse nature of the farmers and to encourage the farmers to invest in such crops where there is a probability of failure and to take risk because the crop will remain insured. While the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna, the crop insurance scheme, has improved upon its predecessor, it faces structural, logistical, and financial obstacles. This lecture makes an assessment of the performance of the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna in terms of adaptability and achievement of the objective of one nation, one scheme. We have to see that the agrarian distress has become so severe that it is pushing many farmers into despair. About 39% of the cases of the farmer suicides in 2015 were attributed to bankruptcy and indebtedness. But the government of India has made various efforts to address the farmer grievances. The policies are insufficient and they are subject to the political wrangling. So it is very imperative that we provide a financial safety net for the farmers that does not consist only of the direct transfers and the loan waivers, but which are the short-term solution, but they often prove to be counterproductive. So a framework needs to be provided and consistent improvement in the agriculture productivity is to be provided. And all these things must have an eventual objective of turning farmers' quality of life. So Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna is a crop insurance scheme that improved upon its predecessor, which was called as National Insurance Scheme. It is going to achieve the following objectives. In the event of a crop failure, the PMFBY would stabilize the agricultural practices, agriculture prices, and it will also stabilize the agriculture income. It will ensure the flow of the credit and encourage farmers to innovate and use the modern agriculture practices. However, a close assessment of the scheme and its implementation shows that PMFBY is afflicted by the same problem as the previous schemes. And that is the reason we are going to analyze. We will see the complete analysis in this particular lecture about the rationale for the crop insurance, why crop insurance is needed, and an overview, the coverage of the risks. Are the beneficiaries getting what they want? And an assessment of the structural issues will be done. And we will see the state-wise, the farmers who are committing suicide. And we will make recommendations, a large number of recommendations, which will help us to write some very good mains answers. So here we start the analysis of the scheme.
In the 1960s, India's farmers were introduced to new hybrid seed varieties that had been developed by scientists, and this so-called green revolution transformed a country that had long struggled to feed itself into one that now had food surpluses. Over the next half-century, Indian agriculture became highly commercialized. The country is now among the world's top exporters of wheat, rice, and sugar. However, in recent years, yields from the new hybrids have leveled off, the crops often vulnerable to disease. That's driven farmers to use more and more chemical fertilizers and pesticides, which in turn has seriously degraded the soil. Has the green revolution run its course?
In terms of yield per acre, yeah.
Climate scientist Jagannathan Srinivasan says the modern commercial seeds still can produce abundant crops, but they require normal rainfall. That's happening less and less.
The real impacts of climate change will come after about 30-40 years, the high temperature. India's population is going up very rapidly still, and so the challenge is to produce more and more food for the population.
One approach that's gaining increasing attention is a return, ironically, to traditional seeds that went out of fashion with the Green Revolution. So these are just some of hundreds, thousands of rice varieties that existed at one point on the planet.
Yes.
And you're trying to retrieve some of them.
Yes.
Subhashini Sridhar is a plant scientist with the non-profit Center for Indian Knowledge Systems. CIKS and other groups have scoured the farthest corners of South India's farm country to gather any traditional varieties of seeds that growers still have.
CIKS is in a position to grow these varieties organically. So we are training farmers on growing good quality seeds.
R. Manikandan and G. Balasubramaniam are among 2,800 farmers who are partners in the effort. Last year, they experimented, planting the old varieties in a small corner of their rice fields, which were otherwise seeded with the commercial hybrids.
It was very dry, not a drop of moisture.
The drought singed the entire field, they said, wiping out the commercial plants in just 30 days.